Portland, Oregon, November 24, 1971. Dan Cooper was at the airport. He was wearing a business suit. He had a black tie and a white shirt. Mm-hmm. Described as a quiet, nondescript man, probably in his mid-40s.
But that, what year was this again?
71.
Everyone flew in business suits when you're flying. You had to.
Yeah. I think you pretty much did. If you weren't wearing a tie, particularly internationally, you
didn't get allowed.
You're off. So he wanders up to the counter. He buys a one-way ticket to Seattle on flight 305, and he pays cash.
Sure. A lot of people paid cash back then.
I would have thought, but for some reason, some of these stories emphasize that. He orders a bourbon and soda. He waits for the plane to take off.
That's your waiting for the plane drink.
It's bourbon and soda.
Oh, it's a way to ruin bourbon, but
just
still.
drink the bourbon. Bit of ice, yum, delicious, sugary delicious. Soon after takeoff, he hands the flight attendant a note.
Oh.
It said he had a bomb in his briefcase and she should sit down next to him. You're going to be shocked to hear she sat down next to him.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. She's not allowed to report this to anyone else?
Holy fuck, it's a bomb, and start running and screaming, the bomb guy might go boom.
No, I get it. I just...
Or may have other weapons.
All right, fair enough.
So he opens up his briefcase and she sees inside, as it was put, a mass of wires and red-coloured sticks, aka dynamite-looking stuff.
Yep.
He told her to write down some instructions, and then she was to take them to the captain.
He could have written a note for the captain as well. No. Take this note to the captain.
No, he's in charge. He's the executive.
He's only writing one note. I've got one note in me.
Yeah, because he's a perfectionist. So he had demanded 4 parachutes and $200,000 in $20 bills. Now, they didn't have these on the plane. This was to come.
They had parachutes on the plane?
No.
Oh.
They had none of these things, but he was saying, okay, I'm going to keep you all hostages until when we land, I get this stuff.
All right.
So they land in Seattle. The hijacker then gets rid of all the passengers.
Cool.
Keeps a bunch of the crew, and he gets his money and his 4 parachutes. So off they go again. Plane takes off. He says, set course for Mexico City, which I'd love to visit. It looks awesome.
Totally.
Not like this, obviously. Somewhere between Seattle and Reno in
Nevada.
Nevada.
Yeah.
Nevada. A bit after 8 p.m., Cooper walks to the back of the plane, jumps out with a parachute and the ransom money.
He opened the door first.
I believe he did, but I couldn't find which door.
Probably doesn't matter. He opens the door. How easy is it to open a door? Was it easier back in the 70s?
It seems like it really was.
A thing passengers could just do if you felt like it?
Yeah. Yeah.
I get he's in control. He's a hostage guy.
He's the guy. So the pilots landed safely and Cooper disappeared.
Welcome to The Wholesome Show, the podcast that has no problem skydiving from the butt end of a passenger jet, as long as it lands in the whole of science. Jesus, that is really working hard. There's a lot of words there.
I'm here for you.
Yeah, I'm Will Grant.
I'm Rod Lambert. And we have to shout out to Stephen in Adelaide, because this story, we can thank him for it and/or it's his fault. He's the reason I went down a hell of a rabbit hole this week instead of doing my day job.
Stephen is
in Adelaide.
Dan Cooper? Or he's
we might reveal that at the end.
Cool.
God, that'd be a baller move. Surprise, it's me.
But listener, follow Stephen's lead.
Yeah.
If you got topics that you want us to dive into the rabbit hole of, send them in. Chuck them in a comment here on YouTube or...
Cheers at wholesomeshow.com.
Via the emails.
So what happened next? The FBI began to investigate, as you would expect. The case became known as Norjak, short for Northwest Hijacking. It's a fucking lame name.
Sure, no.
What would you call it?
Operation Centipede.
You call everything that.
No.
You're at work. We're going to have a meeting. What are you going to call it? Operation Centipede.
Yeah. No, I think you go through the cool insects. That's what I would do. Like it's got Operation Scorpion, Operation
Praying Mantis.
Praying Mantis. That is a good one. Yeah.
Murder Hornet.
No, you save that. That's your genocide level plans.
That's like all the nuclear bombs about to go off.
Yeah, that's right.
Operation Murder Hornet.
Yeah.
So the story became really big in the news. The headlines at the time were really prolific. And I went down, and one of the rabbit holes was a whole bunch of old news reports, and they're cool. So one headline, man leaps from plane with $200,000 ransom. That was straight after, so very factful. Next day you get, after this, DB Cooper familiar with airplanes and parachuting, says the authorities.
Well, let's assume so.
You would imagine. That is a plane and this is a parachute.
I assume it's not your first flight.
No.
If you're like, okay, I'm gonna take it over and do this. Also not your first parachuting.
To be fair, maybe it was.
Bold.
Over the next month or so, the headlines continue. They go to authorities find no clues in DB Cooper's search, so it's already starting to be like, well, what's going on? Then we move to DB Cooper's hijacking success baffles officers. DB Cooper captured the hearts and imaginations of Americans, so we're already getting a Ooh.
So there's a love story here.
There really is.
Are
America and that guy. Person claiming to be D.B. Cooper sends letters to newspapers. So that happens in December.
Fake.
But this quickly turns into an opinion piece, still in December, selective law and order on how the public views D.B. Cooper. So they're starting to go, oh, wait a minute, and like there's the love-hate thing and the romance. And finally, 2 weeks after that, so early January, skyjacker D.B. Cooper becoming folk hero.
So what's the time period here? This is
talking a month and a bit.
A month and a bit.
Month and a bit.
And just to clarify, where he jumps out somewhere between Seattle and Reno. Whereabouts are we talking?
He lands in a place that no one's ever heard of unless you live there.
Well, we don't know where.
Or does he?
Yeah.
But it's interesting. This is these newspapers from all over the place. A lot in Minnesota, Michigan, and places like this. But it was from all over the place. He's becoming this folk hero already within 6 weeks. But, they're baffled, as it said. The law enforcement are baffled. Then, April 1972, so 4 months later, 5 months later, whatever, Richard Floyd McCoy Jr.
Richard Floyd
McCoy Jr. What do we call our kid? All of my names? Junior. So he's a Vietnam vet, experienced skydiver. He carried out in April of 72, so this was the April after the November in which Cooper did his thing. He carries out an almost identical skyjacking, a Boeing 727.
Not as a demonstration. He's actually doing it.
He's actually doing it.
Copycat.
Yep. He's like, no, he's doing it. So it's a United Airlines flight, 855. I know you're wondering. During its voyage from Newark in New Jersey to LA.
Yep.
He uses a pistol and a hand grenade. He holds the aircraft to get $500,000 in ransom. Then he skydives from the rear back stairs over Utah and was caught in 72 hours.
I was hoping they'd catch him with a net. We are that ready now for you parachuting criminals. We've got nets ready to catch you straight.
Can you imagine
Coyote
that?
sort of thing.
Can you imagine that within 5 months, the whole of the country's just got
just covered in nets,
dirty bastard
nets.
Weeks before, he had bragged to his friends that he'd come up with a foolproof plan for hijacking a plane and that Cooper should have asked for more money. So he's talking about Cooper as someone else.
He'd come up with so this Floyd guy is saying, I've come up with a foolproof plan.
Yeah,
copying someone else's plan.
Except he reckons his was better.
I know that you can't copyright a criminal plan,
a caper,
but I feel like you at least get a claim to say, Cooper came up with it. This guy did not come up with it.
I want to copyright this caper. Can I do that?
Copyright a caper?
You cannot.
I would like to see criminals suing each other for idea theft.
That's a TV show I'd watch. I'm not into reality TV, but that would be freaking tops.
You stole my scheme. I mean, it must happen all the time because they don't have. This is the problem for criminals is they don't have copyright law to protect their ideas.
This is the problem for criminals.
Yes,
not with criminals.
No, for criminals.
No one thinks of the criminals when we're making social policy. So he bragged it, and this is what ultimately led to his downfall because he'd been bragging to buddies, and then this thing happened.
That's why they got the net ready.
They went, hang on.
The buddies said, get a net.
Yep. Dear authorities, our friend is going to do something dumb. People talked about the similarities between McCoy and Cooper's crimes, so he's right up on the list of potential culprits. But apparently when people were shown images of McCoy, most of the witnesses said he doesn't look anything like Cooper.
So he was a possible Cooper, but no.
They're like, no, it doesn't look like him. But then also, 1972, there's a guy called Bryant Jack Koffelt. He apparently reached out to a former cellmate, and he says, it was me.
Okay.
I was behind the hijacking.
Yeah.
He said he'd landed near Mount Hood, which is in America.
I also shot Lincoln, and I did the Great
And Jimmy
Train
Hoffa is just over there.
Yeah.
No, he says he that's what he did, and he injured himself, and he lost the money in the process because Mount Hood's a treacherous landing place. Shit. Then he burned his parachute with magnesium powder and fled in a Jeep he had stashed nearby. So he's a very accurate skydiver. He then pushes his former cellmate, James Brown, not that one, to go to movie people and say, get me a movie deal. And you're like, all right.
Is this some sort of standover gang in prison? You got to get me a movie deal. Otherwise.
What do you want from me? You may have to return the favor one day.
I want a movie deal.
I want a Scorchies picture.
For my made up crimes.
Yeah. So it turns out the FBI knew all about his story and the details, and they said, none of that matches anything you were talking about. Okay. So he was a known scammer, and he was just pulling another con.
Yeah, everyone is entranced by Cooper and going, all right, I'm Cooper.
'Twas me.
Will the real Cooper stand up?
Give me a movie. So by the 5th anniversary of the hijacking, the FBI had scoured the plane for evidence. They'd apparently considered more than 800 suspects.
Wow.
800, more than. And at least at that point, eliminated all but a couple of dozen from consideration. No arrests, though.
Wow. That is a lot
That's a fuckload.
I mean, we're talking well more, even in 1970s dollars, well more than $200,000 in investigation time. Now, I'm not saying that law enforcement people should, only spend the amount that the crime.
We support all the spending you want to do on anything, law officer people.
No, we don't.
All of it.
We don't. No, we don't. I'm just saying.
Hookers blow, apartments in the Gold Coast.
That's a lot of investigation to turn up nothing.
It's a shitload. So that's 5 years later. So what are we, 77? So speculation across the nation still rife. Get to 1979. So what, 7 years later? There's a headline. Man finds Boeing airplane placard that may be linked to DB Cooper case.
Placard?
Yeah, which I think is like a panel off a plane or something. I don't know exactly
Did he steal a panel off the plane as well?
Well, we don't know.
Everyone is linking. You find a bit of plane, it's like MH370 or DB Cooper.
Amelia Earhart.
All three of them in the same place.
Yep. So that's 79. 1980, a young boy finds a rotting package full of $20 bills, about $6,000 worth, and they match the ransom money serial numbers. He finds it near the Columbia River, which is in America.
Okay, that's if matching the serial numbers.
Yeah,
that's
match
good.
the serial numbers. So and it was rotting, so it'd obviously been sitting there in states.
Because that's what money does, obviously, after a few years. I mean, obviously that would be how you would design your currency. It's got like a rot line.
Biodegradable.
Our currency should be made of fish skin.
I think human skin.
Why would you do that?
There's a lot of it.
Why would you do that?
I mean, you can compress the skin cells that are lying around your house. So this helps speculation that Cooper didn't survive the plane jump, sorry.
Yeah, okay.
Because the parachute he was using apparently couldn't be steered. It was one of those old school, I assume, looks like from a World War II movie. It's just
like a bucket, an umbrella sort of.
Yeah, and you just kind of go blah, blah, blah. His clothing and footwear were well and truly unsuitable for a rough landing, and the speculation was where he would have landed would have been quite icky.
Okay. Or if it's near the money there.
Near the money, yeah. He jumped into this woods area, so it was all
Did the kid keep the money?
I don't know. Maybe just the guns from around the edge where it's
No, I think the kid should get to keep the money.
I think from the photographs I saw of it, handing that over at the candy store to buy some gumballs would be gross.
The kid found the whole $200,000 and he said, all right, I'll give
Look,
the
I found
FBI
$5,000.
Plausibly, here's $5,000 to the FBI.
Where's the rest of it?
I've never seen any of it.
I just found this one bag that was rotting. What about the rest of it? And it could be fine. I don't know. So they said, he jumped into the woods. It was at night and it wouldn't have been easy for a seasoned pro. And Cooper.
Oh, it was at night?
Yeah, it was at night, 8 p.m.
Yeah, okay.
And I don't think they were daylight saving. So they were saying even a seasoned pro wouldn't have been able to do that easily. And it looked like, from what evidence they had, that he was not a seasoned pro.
I think anyone confidently jumping out of the back of a plane with 4 parachutes, I'm not sure why you needed 4, but that sounds to me moderately seasoned pro. I don't think it's your first time, because I imagine a lot of people, this is your first time. It's like, okay, I'm going to put you in a stressful situation here. You've just just hijacked a plane, stolen $200,000. Now you've got to jump out of a plane. This is your first time. Go.
You're like, cool. Is the plane flying?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's an up plane.
Not just from the ground.
I think it's a bold thing as your first parachuting.
Super bold if it was. Like come on. Damn, man.
Like, have you parachuted?
No.
Like, I've done the
tandem
instructor strapped to my back, and it's like, you're doing all the work and off we go. That's all cool. But the idea of me pulling the strings and all that was terrifying.
Off the back
to do it
a
all
jet.
of a sudden, just go, all right, I'll just somewhere in the middle of America jump out of a plane that is not designed for it.
And he didn't take the parachutes with him. I think he only had the one parachute. So he asked for 4, but he only used 1. I don't know.
Weird.
I know. That is what
That's
cracks
the big
case.
mystery. That's the big mystery.
Parachute comes into play later. So they're basically saying, evidence suggested he wasn't a pro. I don't know what the evidence was because the FBI would not return my calls. So, of course, all of this doesn't really help ID him nor even find him. So who and where the fuck was he? Or is he? So enter Robert Rackstraw.
Robert Rackstraw?
Rackstraw. He's a pilot and a Vietnam vet. He first got noticed by US officials in 1977, suspected of, and the word I had to look up, kiting checks for $75,000. So forging and or defrauding people via checks.
Okay.
$75,000. So the US officials went, hey, that's bad. He fled the country to Iran in the late 70s to, quote, teach the Shah's men how to fly helicopters in the build-up to the Iranian Revolution.
Look, good time to
hell of a time to be a mercenary.
Sign up for the Shah.
Yeah, I'm fleeing America. I'm going to go to pre-revolutionary Iran.
Yeah, there was a lot of torture prisons then. So lots of mercenaries. So
making a buck.
There's a gap there if you have no qualms.
All my time machines have qualms. It's a pity. Eventually, he's extradited back to the US when Iranian authorities found him with 14 rifles, 150 pounds of dynamite. And apparently somewhere in between this and what I'm about to tell you, he was arrested for the alleged murder of his stepfather, but he was acquitted. So this guy's upright dude.
He's not a lovely guy.
Upright dude.
I'm not sure why you need so much dynamite to teach parachuting.
Helicopter flying. Entirely different. If your helicopter's crashing, use dynamite to spin the rotor properly.
Sure.
That's how it works if you stall
Don't
a
believe
copter.
you.
So then he fakes his death, pretends to crash his plane into Monterey Bay, which is in America. But officials never formally linked Rackstraw to DB Cooper, like ever. However, an author and amateur investigator called Tom Colbert really went a long way to try and demonstrate that he was the guy. So he FOI'd information from the FBI and he built his case against Rackstraw. He pointed out letters that were sent to a bunch of different newspapers which were allegedly from Cooper. A couple were demonstrated to be hoaxes, but Colbert argues probably a bunch of them were coded admissions of guilt from Rackstraw. Coded admissions.
So hang on, you've got away with a crime. You know, you steal the 200 grand, disappear possibly, like the diner.
Jump out of the
But
plane.
who then writes letters to the newspaper? Like, I guess you want to taunt or something like that?
You do wonder, like it's very 60s supervillain kind of.
Incredibly.
It's kind of look at what
It must be so tempting to just go,
It would be.
Just
It would.
write a letter. All right.
Not only did I get it, but I'm better than you. Yeah, like it'd be. Yeah, I would never do that.
That would be literally how you get caught.
100%.
Like whatever crime,
Yeah.
you will boast about it.
No, it'd be worth. I'd get smashed and go, fuck, I'll just tell you because you seem like a trustworthy person. You won't tell anyone.
On a
right? You won't tell
podcast.
anyone. Yeah. So Colbert, I'm assuming it's Colbert. It's only Stephen Colbert who's Colbert. He did a History Channel documentary in 2016 about the DB Cooper case. And apparently he interviews Rackstraw, who says to him, I told everybody I was DB Cooper, but Colbert had offered him 20 grand to appear. And later on, Rackstraw says, look, I told people that. I didn't say I was. I told people.
And look, he doesn't seem like the most upright guy.
No, he didn't.
Like he's clearly
No, not a great guy. He died in 2019, but he thoroughly denied having anything to do with the Cooper thing. So that's 2016. There's a headline, amateur investigators believe DB Cooper is Robert Rackstraw. But no, doesn't seem likely at all.
Okay.
And none of the professionals thought it was.
All right.
So let me get to it. There were heaps of wannabes. Like there were so many people who put their hands up, and I'm only going to read two because they amused me, but there were so many people like, it was me, it could have been him, it could have been him.
Yeah.
And if you want to see those, check out our links. Many of the sources have a whole bunch of them, like so many of them. So the two I'm just going to point out, William Pratt Gossett.
Yep.
He was, quote, a man who worked as a radio talk show host in Salt Lake City where he moderated discussions about the paranormal.
He's a podcaster.
Big time. His son said that on his 21st birthday, his father, William Pratt Gossett, showed him a box, two keys to a safety deposit box. And he said, this is the box that contains the money from the DB Cooper heist, which he had done.
Well,
That's what he said.
Okay, that's not bad.
But you can't tell anybody until I'm dead.
But I get on your son's 21st birthday, you show the family treasure.
Yeah.
And you say, okay, this is where I got it. I mean, if you had done some terrible murdering, maybe you might say, hey, son, this is from a more legitimate crime, not the murdering crime.
Or
so you might.
Don't look under my bed. There's a lot of skulls.
Yeah.
A lot of skulls.
Yeah. My skull collection here.
Yeah.
My money collection here. Just go for the money collection.
Yeah, leave the skulls. Although we've seen a website where you can sell them for a pretty penny.
So DB Cooper has 200 grand and then he becomes a radio talk show host.
In Salt Lake City, moderating discussions about the paranormal.
I don't 100% buy that.
No, the FBI lead on the case in the mid-2010s or so, early 2000s. There is not one link to the DB Cooper case other than the statement that Gossett Jr. made. And apparently, at least at the time of this article, no one has even bothered to check the
What the hell?
safe deposit box.
Like, dude, 21-year-old dude,
Go
you've
check.
got the key.
Yeah.
It's you
As
go
if
and
you
have a
wouldn't.
look.
As if you wouldn't.
And surely the serial numbers are checkable.
Or he'd go to the thing and they'd be like, this isn't a safe deposit box
No,
key.
you have to pay for a safety deposit box. You don't have nothing in there. Like unless you're trying to no.
Why not? Maybe he's got ghosts in there.
Okay. He keeps all his
paranormal guy.
ghosts in.
My other favourite is Barbara Dayton, aviation enthusiast, World War II veteran, US merchant marine, who died in 2002. She confessed to a couple of friends that 2 years after going gender reassignment surgery, she boarded a plane but was presenting as male at the time, altered her voice.
Oh, so 2 years after, but was still halfway through the reassignment.
And according to this
Affirmation.
source, she may have been the first gender reassignment surgery in Washington ever.
Okay.
by the way, Washington State. So anyway, she says, yes, I had the surgery, but then boarded the plane. I presented as male, altered my voice, and did the DB Cooper thing. And Dayton then went into a whole bunch of details about the heist, where she hid the money, blah, blah, blah. Then when someone said, oh, no, because this is years later, you can still be prosecuted and the FBI would, she went, oh, no, bullshit, I was lying.
Don't your crimes get wiped?
When you change gender, yes.
No, I don't think so.
Problem was that she'd changed before.
Yeah, okay.
But, as soon I assume what happened was she figured, I can tell this story now because it's been yonks. And they said, actually, no, we can and we'll prosecute you. And she went, I was lying.
Yeah, I don't think statute of limitations, like you get to keep the money after 30 years or something.
Well, stay out of jail.
Look, it's a crime.
A little bit. So stories and speculation continued. Amateur investigators kept amateur investigating. Nothing concrete announced. So 2016, we get this headline. FBI closes active investigation on DB Cooper case after 45 years.
Oh, we've moved it to the cold cases.
Yeah.
Are they actually still open that length?
That same year.
Okay. Oh.
The Sun newspaper in the US say to the FBI, hey, have you dropped the case? And they say, didn't you see our press release in 2016?
Mm-hmm.
That was their answer. So, yes, it's been assigned to the annals of history. But flash forward to literally a week ago.
Are you serious?
March 2, 2024. So the former agent in charge of the case, he was in charge from 207 to 210.
Not exactly a prestigious job in the FBI at that point.
Probably not.
Like in charge of a cold case that is literally 40 years old. Like,
but many characters.
Yeah, sure. It's cool. It's a cool cold case.
Yeah.
But it's like solve some Ned Kelly crimes or something like that. It's
That's
like
pretty much,
you were in the back room of the FBI.
At the end of 2010, he went off, he got promoted and moved somewhere. But then for some reason he moved back. And he said the case is not closed because in 2019 when he came back, they put him back on the case. 2019, after 2016. He said, I don't understand people calling it closed because I was assigned to the case when I came back. I think even if the case was closed, there would have been an agent on the squad that had the case, and if something came up, they would have been told to follow up.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, closed in this sense just means no one's actively looking.
And that's what
but if
he
something
said.
comes up.
Administratively closed,
I think Larry
maybe.
doesn't quite know how low of a rank in the FBI he is. Like it seems to me he feels like this is prestigious, but it's like this.
Let's bring Larry on. It's a prize. Also, this is a week ago. Remember Richard McCoy, the guy who did the similar heist 5 months later?
Richard Floyd McCoy, yep.
Yep. And he got busted, went to jail. He tried to escape 5 years afterwards and died in a shootout. But in 2023, his son Rick, so I assume Richard McCoy Jr., submitted a cheek swab to the FBI for DNA analysis. So the question is, why now? And I mean, almost literally now.
Yeah, but do we have any DNA from DB Cooper in the plane?
Well, funny you should ask.
Oh.
So it's a little confusing whether he like when you read the sources, they kind of mix between whether he contacted the FBI or they pinged him. But in the end, there's
sure there are a lot of people that are like, hey, FBI, do you want some of my DNA samples?
Yeah. I got a bucket of it.
Every police
I've been spitting in this jar for 2 years, just in case. So apparently Rick had chosen, one source said, he chose to wait until after his mother's death in 2020 to open a dialogue with the FBI.
Okay.
Because his mum had confessed that his dad was Cooper and that his dad would have been furious if he wasn't getting the credit he deserved for the crimes he'd committed. So anyway, the FBI has a sample. But as of March 2 this year, Rick has not heard back from them. He gave it to them 6 months ago or so, but as of, last week, still no.
But do we have anything to compare it with?
Well, it just so happens. There are two leading independent Cooper investigators, and at least one of them has a lot of street cred. He's a paleontologist and understands the sciences and stuff.
Okay. Obviously, because DB Cooper was a dinosaur?
Yes, he was. He was.
Like, how does he have paleontological expertise?
They got hobbies.
Great expertise.
They got hobbies.
I don't doubt they've got hobbies. But dinosaur science doesn't translate.
I want to do cold cases. Not that cold.
Not
dinosaur cold.
Hobbies are great. Dive on in. But it's not like the expertise carries directly across.
He's got some science.
Okay.
And he can do DNA. I think he probably scrapes bones and looks at their NDA.
All right.
Anyway, their names are Ulis and Kay. Eric Ulis, Tom Kay. They reckon there's no way McCoy is Cooper because, and this is what they say, Kay says, the paleontologist, if you had a link on the DNA between the Cooper case and a particular person, that knocks the case out of the park and you'd hear about it right away. So saying if Rick's DNA showed connections to Cooper DNA, come on. And he said, I find no reason for the FBI to keep information that secret, especially if they were looking to solve a cold case after 50 plus years. But these guys are still keen to hunt down who Cooper might have been. So some other evidence, but especially DNA. So where did you get Cooper DNA, as you were wondering?
From his natty suit?
From his natty suit. Well,
From his glass of bourbon?
They probably didn't know which glass. It's probably already been washed.
Oh, why didn't they keep it?
So people said, what about the note he gave to the flight attendant?
Oh, yes.
He took it with him.
He licked the note.
Took it away.
He took it away?
Gave her the note and then took it away.
He's thorough.
Isn't he?
Give it back.
Which means he's a scientist. Apparently there was a clip-on necktie which he pulled off and left behind.
Neckties aren't a lot of DNA.
Have you ever analysed a necktie?
I
Festering shit piles of horrible bugs.
It is not.
They're terrible.
But bugs aren't DNA. I don't want to.
Bugs have DNA.
Yeah, but not our DNA.
They eat you.
They're
Then they have your DNA in them.
That's not how DNA works.
I'm not a tie expert. Clip-on anyway. So anyway, he apparently tore it from his collar before he left.
Hang on, it was a clip-on tie. I think that's a big clue.
Right? I know.
A big clue.
I know. Everything's opened up now. You're like, wait a minute.
Who would wear a clip-on tie?
DB Cooper, whoever you are. The tie was tested for DNA in 2001. They got a partial DNA profile from it, but the sample could only help them say who wasn't on the plane. They couldn't actually identify. It was only partial. It wasn't enough to actually make a positive identification. So it could discredit potential matches but not identify the person. And as an aside, Kay, the paleontologist, had got his hands on the tie in 2009 and 2011 and tested it for particulates, for pollens and things.
Okay.
That didn't help much. But Ulis, the other guy, reckons that there might be some DNA left in the spindle of the tie.
What's the spindle?
You know, well, I had to look that up. So it turns out
a tie doesn't have that many bits.
apparently a clip-on one does.
Oh, right.
Certain kinds. It's the spindle of the tie is a small clasp built into the knot of the tie that spins and enables the wearer to adjust the knot to their desired size.
Oh, my God.
It's like a boa on a snowboard boot, you know.
Yeah, okay.
Crank it up.
Or a pump on a Reebok pump.
Yes. So anyway, they reckon that there could be some stuff in the spindle, and if they used metagenomic DNA analysis, metagenomic,
No.
it's an advanced kind of analysis. They reckon they might be able to separate individual strands of DNA. So they are currently, and I mean literally currently, they're in the process of sending the filters, the material, to a specialist lab to conduct metagenomic DNA analysis. But as of literally now, or at least a couple of days ago, nothing.
Nothing? Oh, I'm
so
surprised.
far. I know, right?
I'm so surprised nothing turned up.
They haven't, or they don't know if it hadn't turned up. They haven't actually heard back because getting this done is not easy. And
Yeah,
for some reason,
I
the
get it.
officials didn't want to do it.
They've got actual cases to do first.
Yeah.
And then
Oh, no, they're private labs, though. So
you've got to
they're
find out
yeah.
if you're related to Napoleon II.
They're trying to find evidence, trying to find DNA. What about, he left some of the parachutes behind.
Did
What
he-
about one of them?
Did he spit on those?
Well, there's something that said something about maybe he left some DNA.
And I don't like you and I don't like you.
Yeah, shit parachute, shit parachute. I'll take this one. Clean, pretty, beautiful. Now, they reckon he might have stuck his hand in to pull some card out. I don't know what the card is.
Christ.
So one of these parachutes is with the Washington State Historical Society. And I imagine a bunch of older retired folk who really care about history. One of our prized possessions is this parachute.
Yeah, but they might know this might be the key that will unlock the case.
Of course it is.
Or not.
Of course it is. So apparently Kay, the paleontologist, had been scheduled to conduct tests on that parachute in 2023.
Oh.
But then
Oh.
the museum changed its mind a few weeks before the tests were due, and they wouldn't tell Kay why.
Is DB Cooper running the museum?
I reckon he is.
Oh, there you go.
And a whole chain of museums across the country. This was around the time that the FBI had reopened the case getting the DNA from Rick McCoy, the son.
Yep.
And so everyone's going like, ooh, okay. So Kay speculates the FBI blocked the tests and asked to examine the chute themselves. And he said, look, I was quite surprised. I've been in museums around the world. I've asked to see multi-million-dollar specimens, and with my credentials, I get access.
Cool.
Back off, man, I'm a paleontologist.
Any sort of thing? Like
Anything,
can I
apparently.
just steal a painting? I'm a paleontologist.
Yeah, it's $1 million.
That sculpture, the fucking
Mona Lisa.
Rosetta Stone. I want the Mona Lisa. I'm a paleontologist.
Dinosaur Mona Lisa.
Stand back.
So apparently he's saying this is weird because I've had access to much more valuable things than this. And then this scamp
Sure.
pulls the plug.
Sure. I've had access to much more valuable things. Does not mean you get access to things of the same value.
And you say, don't you know who I am? I've touched Tyrannosaurus in Vietnam. So he's saying, look, I reckon it's because they're studying it themselves and they don't want anyone getting in the way.
Sure.
And he goes on, it was all kind of a mystery. I don't have any knowledge of why they would close off access to the parachute. But it's interesting that in the last year, we brought up the subject of DNA publicly and how to go about getting Cooper's DNA and try to get access to the tie, etc. he left behind. It happens right now. And suddenly the FBI, who've been saying the case is closed, suddenly they open it up again. And he says, it's an interesting coincidence for sure. No, we don't have any evidence, but it is very coincidental.
It's not really. They just might want to do it at the same time. Like it comes up.
Or the people at the Washington State Historical Society just cantankerous old shits and they don't want to. They're like, no, we've changed our mind. We have the power.
I still think that's where DB Cooper is.
So, well, this is the wholesome verdict, man. What do you reckon? What's happening?
What do I reckon?
I've given you all this information.
Look, I'm going to say it's none of these people. I think they're all frauds. I think the only legit evidence is that kid found the cash in the ravine. I think DB Cooper is impaled on a tree somewhere in a forest, somewhere deep in the woods.
A skeleton.
He's a skeleton, and I'm sorry. Find the skeleton with no tie but a natty suit around him and a parachute. That's where he is.
That's what you reckon. So you reckon we could find him?
Oh. Theoretically, yes.
Fancy.
No. I
think after 50 years in the elements, how will the bones do after 50 years or more?
It depends on the environment, of course. If you're down the bottom of a pirate cave, you last for about 100 years.
Yeah.
Up on Mount Everest, you last for 200 years. In a forest, probably not that long.
In space.
That's the only legit clue. Like as a legit cold case guy, that's the only clue.
Yeah. But it's still going. That's what I love. Like they're squabbling over it. Like last week they're fighting. I mean, I want to know
what's your verdict?
Different. Well, I reckon no, it's not. None of these people are him. I reckon they probably won't find him. But my question was also, what if they did? So what? And for me, I'm like, cool. If science can help solve that, then they can also find out who's Jack the Ripper. But I also want to know who the fucker was who in 4th grade stole my favourite pencil sharpener. I wonder if they can help me with that.
You know who it was?
I do actually.
Yeah.
But I won't say his name because he's probably a listener and I don't want to lose a fan.
Give me back his pencil sharpener.
I'm looking at you, LP. So there's 2 things hanging still. A, the cheek swab from Rick McCoy Jr. Mm-hmm. We don't know about that and maybe we never will. But there's also the metagenetics thing where the tie is out there somewhere waiting for metagenetic research. Now, I'd like to say we'll keep you up to date, but maybe Stephen from Adelaide could keep us up to date and then we can report onwards.
Oh, yeah. We'll let you know.
I want to speculate what we might consider doing for another episode at some point. I would say next week, but we can't guarantee that.
We are used now in the world to hearing, or at least we know the sound of whale songs. Yeah.
I can sneeze like a whale.
There was a time when we didn't, and there was a time then we suddenly did. And it's all thanks to an experimental 1970s, you can't call it prog rock, but it's not. It's a 70s concept album by Roger Payne, his album of whale songs, which went absolutely dynamite. And I just want to explore the moment when that happened, when people are like, fuck yeah, I'm putting some whale songs on.
So he recorded them, or he actually?
I think so. I don't know the story. Roger Payne's album of whale songs. So not synthesized. He must have recorded, and it was a moment of people just going, "Oh my damn! Is that in the ocean? Is this a thing?"
You can put a tape recorder in a plastic bag and catch whales.
No one had done that before.
Whoa!
Pirates had stuck their head under the ocean but
under duress. They don't like water. That's the weird thing people don't know about pirates. They don't like swimming.
Yeah, they don't like being pirates.
No. I got one. I'm wondering about this whole 5 stages of grief thing. You know, there was, there's 5 stages of grief, and more I'm seeing, they're not. It's all bullshit.
Well, do you want me to put you through some grief, and you can?
I'm grieving now. I'm in stage 7 though. It's the party stage of grief.
The party stage of grief. I thought it was 7 stages anyway.
Maybe it is. What else you got? Got anything else?
In the 1970s, it's another 1970s one. A bunch of tobacco companies spent $100 million trying to make a safer cigarette.
In 70s?
In the 70s.
100 million.
Yeah, this is like go to the moon money.
Wait, this is 3% of our income?
Yeah, go to the moon. Yeah, okay, they were rich. But it's like go to the moon money. And it was to make, because all of the stories are about, how bad smoking was at the time. And they said,
safer?
We should make a safer, they call it safer. Yeah, I think they were going, okay, we can't call it safe. But they went safer and... Spoiler. No, they sold it. Like it went to market and people bought it.
Is it like on The Fifth Element where it's 90% filter and then a little bit of tobacco at the end?
I don't know about that. I think the main thing is it was more cellulose and less
so fat.
Less dynamite.
Less dynamite.
I don't know.
That wouldn't be hard. So making cigarettes out of dynamite at the time.
No, but
I've got an idea.
Gunpowder.
Don't make them go saltpeter.
Or something like that.
Saltpeter.
So I just like the idea that they were not being good guys, but trying to be nice or evil guys. And they spend a lot of money, and I'm happy with that.
Look, unless someone dials it, I want to know that one. I want to know about the diaries.
All right, you can do that.
I want to know about the diaries.
You got any others?
I'm interested in, just lately I'm seeing a lot about all these all-boys schools, at least in Australia, going, nope, we're going to go co-ed now.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, what's that about? I'm also interested in the history and the let's call it, less than firm arguments for and against single-sex schools.
Oh, my God. I
ugly, but interesting.
Thought about that as such a big area. I think we need 8 experts and a panel. And
that wouldn't stop me just making shit
and then
up.
lots of jokes, because obviously it's all depressing.
No, I went to an all-boys school and I laughed a lot.
And look at what you turned out like.
I know. No, I was lucky. I got expelled in time.
All right. See you next week, listener.